Hey guys, hey gamers, you probably noticed that we're in a little bit of a different setup today. Want to try something different? Um, Also we're doing something a little bit different today. Um, we will be reading Reddit stories. Um, I have been watching Smosh do this for like a year, and Daniel Flasher has been doing it on his second channel. So I said then I'd jump into the ring and read some Reddit stories. So I have the screen over here where I'm going to be reading them from. Okay, so am I the a-hole for speaking another language and giving my stepsister secondhand embarrassment? Right off the bat, you don't seem like the a-hole. Your stepsister sounds pretty annoying, but who knows? Here's a bit of backstory. I, female 15, am Asian American. My mom is Caucasian while my dad is Chinese Filipino. I also have an older brother. My biological dad passed away when I was young, and my mom remarried around 2022. Now, I have an amazing dad and an older sister. My mom works corporate for a cruise company, and therefore I don't mean to brag, but my family frequently goes on cruises. My sister recently graduated high school and back came home to San Francisco. It might be because she's warm. I don't know. She attended high school in the East Coast. And now my family is on this amazing cruise to the Caribbean to celebrate. Just yesterday, my sister and I were in the pool deck, and she needed to wash her hands. The ship we were on was really big, and I wasn't too familiar with the layout, so in order to locate the bathroom, I asked a kind worker for direction. I tried speaking her I tried to speak to her in English, but she didn't seem to understand initially. But then I noticed the Philippines in her badge. On her badge, I think it means. On the cruise, the nationality of a staff worker could be found on their badge. So I began talking to the lady in Filipino. My grandma was Filipino, so my grandpa was Filipino, so he taught me. The lady and I had a short and happy conversation before eventually asking where the nearest bathroom was. And I led my sister to go there. While we were walking, my sister told me just speak in English and said that Filipino in the wait and said that Filipino is the workers' language. I think you meant to say, and I said that Filipino was the workers' language. Plenty of staff on board are Filipino, and mentioned it was embarrassing for her because she said she didn't want to be associated with them. Those were her exact words. I was shocked. I didn't know why she would be embarrassed and ashamed, but I still felt really bad. I didn't mean anything. I just wanted to speak Filipino due to my heritage, and the lady seemed to be really happy when I did. So, anyways, I told my sister I won't do it again, but was it really that rude to speak in another language in the West? What do you think? No, you are not the asshole. Your your sister clearly is. She's embarrassed that you spoke someone's language to them. That makes no sense. Um, so the verdict. was clearly not the a-hole. Let's look at some of the comments. NTA. I'd tell your mom what she said, though. NTA, I tell your mom what she said, though. Stepsis is racist and sees the worker as less than and speaking another language and being the same nationality as less than. Another comment, she's classist. It wasn't that they were speaking Filipino, it was that this marked them as staff. Maybe. Thinking that ethnicity equals class is kind of racist, let's be honest. Yeah, fair. It's a number of not good things. All ending in as it. Sorry. All ending in an ist. Looks like the sister picked up some elitism in the East. Sorry, we're not all like that in Maine. We're just X. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna touch on that story. That story seemed like kinda just a easy, closed book. There's a clear a-hole in that one. Am I the a-hole for cropping my sister-in-law out of my wedding photos after she said she looked fat? Okay. Throw away because my sister-in-law has my main account. My wife, 27 female, and I, 28 male, recently got married, and it was amazing. The wedding was set on a riverside farm, and so we had photo shoots outside on the fields before the ceremony. We started taking photos around noon, and my sister-in-law, 30 female, was one of the bridesmaids. My sister-in-law has always been a negative person since I met her, always trying to make small judgmental comments, while my wife is an incredibly kind person. They have very different personalities, so I never questioned why they aren't close and assumed that my sister-in-law was included in a group of bridesmaids to appease my wife's parents. Because sister-in-law and my wife have never been very close, she was at the end of the line of bridesmaids and usually was at the edges of group photos. While taking the photos, sister-in-law was the only person complaining about things like the sunny weather and how her dress was absorbing heat. I don't know much about dresses, but it was about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Most people in the photo shoot group ignored her comments, and it wasn't an issue for the rest of the day. We got the photos of both the shoot and the ceremony from the photographer 3 weeks after the wedding. We promptly sent the photos to the people in the photo shoot and told them we planned on using the photos on social media. Most people thanked us for the photos, but my sister-in-law called my wife and was very angry, yelling that she looked like a fat pig in every photo that she was in, and demanded that we not use any of the photos with her in them. For context, sister-in-law is bigger than my wife, but not to an extreme extent. She doesn't look unhealthy, and I've never heard her have body issues before, but I admittedly wouldn't know much about it. In the wedding photos, she really doesn't look any different from her normal self. My wife tried to reason with her, saying she looks just as pretty as everyone else, but sister-in-law did not want to hear it. She reiterated that if we use any photo of her on social media, that she wouldn't speak to us again and would put us on blast, whatever that means. My wife was really hurt by her sister's outburst, and I was very bothered that she thought she could tell us what to do with our special moment. Here's where I may be the asshole. I decided that if she had such a problem, she didn't need to be in the photos. I cropped her out and posted those versions on social media. I thought it would be fine, and it was easy since she was at the edge anyway. After posting, she then called me even angrier than before and accused me of trying to erase her from the memory of the wedding. I told her I only did it to accommodate her wishes, while also getting to use our own wedding photos. Sister-in-law hasn't talked to us in a week. My sister's parents are mad at us for upsetting sister-in-law, while my wife is on my side. She thinks I could have been more mature about it. I don't think I did anything wrong and accommodated her already unreasonable request, so am I the asshole? I don't think so. She said, don't use any of the photos with me in it. They clearly loved those photos, and to accommodate her, they cut it off. She said, don't post them on social media or I will cut you out of my life. They want to use those photos to just cut you out. I find that extremely reasonable. I see no problem with that. You can tell me in the comments if you disagree, but I think he did nothing wrong here. The parents, I feel like, just want everyone to be happy, they don't want arguing, so I get it, they're trying to be like peacemakers, because they don't want anyone to be mad, but I ultimately don't think that they're assholes. I think what she was asking is just unreasonable. Let's go into the comments. Okay. NTA, you did exactly as she asked. Was she expecting y'all to just not post any photos of your wedding? Exactly. OP responded to that comment. I think she thought I would only post ones where she was not originally included, but I don't like the principle that she thinks she can tell us what to post and what not to post if it doesn't include her. Exactly. Sister-in-law was Hitler, and wife's parents are Chamberlain, and OP was Churchill. The rest is history of World War III. Okay. Okay. What would you've... Hold on. Yes, the level of immaturity these days is astounding. It's like common sense has gone extinct. I don't know. In some situations, it has. Okay. So yeah, another one that's kind of easy, So let's move on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents they need to place their next kid for adoption? Okay. My parents have 4 kids already. I mean, I have 3 siblings, so. Me, 17 male, my younger sister, 13 female, my younger brother, 12 male, and youngest sister, 10 female. My parents have relied on me heavily to take care of my siblings. Started, hold on, sorry. Started when I was still too young to do much, but they'd put them in my room if a nightmare happened. And after each sibling was 6 months old, they started sharing a room with me until they were 3. Then it was getting me to prepare something to eat for my younger siblings. It was also staying home with them while mom went shopping, and over time it evolved. I help with homework, I make sure they're awake for school, I walk them to school since I don't have a car, I feed them, and most of the time I'm the one they come to if they need help with something. My parents will drop them off at birthday parties or to friends' houses. They'll take us out for family experiences, but admittedly expect me to keep an eye on my siblings. My parents provide the food and house and clothes. I provide the emotional stuff. I don't love doing it, but I got so used to it that it became second nature. I'm still the person my youngest sister comes to if she has a nightmare or is afraid of anything during the night. My parents learned they were pregnant again in February. They told me and my siblings last month. It was very much talked about, like I will have the baby with me in my room uh for the jump, and should learn how to independently change diapers and stuff. I made it clear from the sorry, hold up. I made it clear from the jump that I wasn't raising their next kid for them. I told them I had more responsibilities. I had more responsibility to my 3 siblings than I should have ever had. But I wasn't going to skip my own life to raise an infant from the start. My parents were shocked. They tried to get one of my younger siblings on board, but they said no. But they said no way. They didn't want to be responsible like me. My parents returned to me with the topic and asked what the fuck they're meant to do, and they never expected me to reject a sibling like this. I said I reject child raising another one of their kids. Not a sibling, but also I'll be out of the house in 7 months. I won't be around the new sibling as much, and the relationship might not be the same. I told them I don't want the same relationship either. I don't want to be a parent to another sibling. That seems reasonable. They made it pretty clear they don't want to do the actual child raising, and they're a living nightmare over this. When the topic came up during last week, I told them they need to place the baby up for adoption since they won't have a good childhood with nobody wanting to raise them. I told my parents it would be the kindest thing to do if they refused to raise a baby themselves. My parents accused me of treating adoption flippantly. I don't know how to pronounce that. And they were sort of outraged I would rather they place the baby for adoption than for me to step up and raise this one too. Am I the a-hole? The verdict is not the a-hole, and I see why. I don't know if I said the verdict for the last one, that was also not the a-hole. I don't know, maybe all of these will be not the a-hole, but yeah. Like, they don't want to raise their children. They just want to make not the a-hole. You're gonna be an adult. You have no responsibility to raise their child. And if they're not gonna raise their child, they should put it up for adoption. NTA, I don't know where you're located, but if you are in the US, I'd call CPS and get them involved. OP responded, CPS won't do anything. They were called before and came to talk to us and did nothing. They didn't see this as a big enough problem to do any continued intervention. We were all taken care of, and that was enough. Even though the taking care of part was on me. So, I'd say maybe call him again, because you won't be here when this baby is born. You won't be there because you're saying you're only gonna be there for 7 more months. So, I don't know. Another comment. That's the problem. They are child protection, not child care. As long as no one is in danger yet, they probably can't do anything shitty, and I don't find your situation okay, but it's a sad fact. I do hope you make it out and your siblings are okay. Sad for the baby, though. Your parents sound horrible. Why can they keep making babies but not care for them? I will never understand people like that. OP responded, the current baby was definitely not planned or expected. My parents are in their 40s now, shocked as hell too, but figured at least I can do everything from the start with this one. Wow. Okay. Yeah, the verdict was clearly not the L. Let's see the next one. That's the next one is the last one I have selected. And this video run pretty long too, so can't buy that. Okay. Am I the a-hole for not ordering any food so I wouldn't have to split the bill? I, 27 male, have been a part of a small friend group around 8 people total. Basically since college. For some background, 2 people from the group, Susan and Greg, are just absolute leeches. Going out for lunch, expecting them to order. Going out to lunch, expecting them to order the most expensive on the menu, then feeding you some sob story about their finances, and then dump half the bill on you. Last weekend, Dan, one of the people from the group, told me about a casual dinner. I told him how if Susan or Greg were there, I wouldn't be able to come. He tells me that they would be there, but I should just put my opinions aside and just come. This is kind of where I might be the a-hole. I agreed with him and told him I would be there. I showed up and we all get to talking. Everybody had begun putting in their orders. Most of them spent about $40. There were only about 6 people there. When it gets to Susan and Greg, they both order expensive dishes, around $200. When it was my turn to order, everybody looked at me, but I just pick up the menu and point to the $4 Miller Lite and sent the waiter away. Dan asked why I hadn't ordered anything, and all I said was I lost my appetite. The other 2 friends got up as well to cancel their orders and just have drinks. After the main course came out, I saw Susan and Greg picking up their food. The waiter then brings over a check. Greg then grabs the waiter and asks, and hold up. Greg then grabs the waiter and asks him to split the check 6 ways. I stand up and correct him, saying the check was to split 3 ways. Greg, looking at me confused, and asks why, since we always split the bill. I remind him that 3 of us hadn't eaten any food, so we would just be paying for our drinks. So basically, at the end of the night, Greg, who probably only ate around $50 worth of food, was stuck with a $146.98 check at the end. Yes, I remember the exact number. I swear I saw his jaw drop when he picked that receipt up. I slid a $10 towards the check, said goodbye everyone, and walked out. The next morning, I found my phone full of texts from Greg and Susan telling me I was an a-hole for not ordering any food and forcing them to pay more than they had accounted for. I honestly laughed because the steaks alone were more than what they had paid for. More than what they had paid, but to each their own, right? I also got a lot of messages from Dan saying that I could have just not come, that I could have just not came instead of pulling that stunt and getting him stuck with an outrageous bill. There's an edit here. Actually, no. Before the edit, let's just take the story out as now. The verdict is not the a-hole, and I see why. These people sound like they just stick bill and you have time. And I don't blame him for not getting food, dude. I might do the same thing or might show up. Reminds me of another story that Smosh Pit covered in the Reddit thing. Where they had to split the bill. Oh, it might have been Smosh, I don't know. But they had to split the bill and they just bought like a bunch of stuff. I don't remember exactly, but it was something around this. And so yeah, I don't think they're the a-hole. You don't have to get food. You just got beer, yeah. Not the a-hole. So let's look at the edits. Edit. At this restaurant, the bar is separate, so drinks are on a separate bill, if that makes sense. And if anyone is concerned about leaving a tip, I live in Australia. Okay. So, okay. There are a lot of other edits. So, edit, well, there's one other edit, but there's a lot to this edit. So, edit 2. Hey guys, just wanted to clarify some things. 90% of restaurants where I live, they don't do separate checks and might separate the bill for you if you're lucky. By the way, this post is in AUD, so if you want the amount in USD, you have to convert it. Okay. 2, Dan could have easily asked Greg and Susan to transfer him the money if he wanted, but he always has been about helping them through their financial hardship, even though they're just using him and keeps dragging me into it. I admit what I did was immature, but I'm tired of being forced to play along. It's his money, and if he wants to spread it on them, that's fine, but I'm not paying for them. 3. Also, Dan's a really good friend of mine, albeit blind AF, but I was just trying to get him to see what kind of people he was helping. I will admit it was a tad bit pity. 4, thank you for the gold. Very Reddit ending there. So yeah, I wouldn't say he's the a-hole. I'd say what were the names? Susan. Wait. Greg and Susan. They seem like the ultimate a-holes here. That's fun. All these posts turned out not to be a-holes. When I picked all these out, there were not verdicts on them. I hadn't read them. I read the title, and that's where I picked them from. And none of them have been the a-hole. So yeah. It's been fun. Probably we'll do it again, because this was pretty fun. So, see you guys, next video. Bye guys. Bye gamers.